And we're at ease for the first time in decades. Okay, maybe not totally at ease, but this week marks a major change on the Korean peninsula that's both symbolic and very real. I'm Alex Jensen with K News Today for Korea Now. So the famous image of armed soldiers standing opposite one another at the Inter-Korean Joint Security Area is no more. That's because the two Koreas have withdrawn firearms and guard posts from inside the JSA, which is known for a series of momentous events since being established in 1953. From important negotiations to the repatriation of prisoners to various flashpoints. And this year, it's been a place of optimism and inter-Korean summits. For such a small location, roughly circular and 800 meters across, it's amazing that the JSA also welcomes around 100,000 tourists a year. So this disarmament process seems to be an important step towards peace. And certainly it's in line with the military pact the Koreas signed last month, which saw them promise to make the JSA weapon-free. The wider goal here is to drop the chance of an incident at the border that could trigger tensions or worse. Even though the JSA and its truce village of Panmunjom is a focal point of the so-called Demilitarized zone that's divided the Koreas since 1953, it's been the scene of several clashes, as I touched on before. One of the most notorious cases happened in the 1970s, known as the Axe murder incident. It was a turning point. And this week's significance is really that it aims to move the JSA to how it was before that grisly moment in history. But before we move on, what exactly did take place back then? Just imagine today what would happen if 2 US Army officers were killed by North Korean soldiers at the JSA. Well, that's exactly what came to pass in August of 1976. Remember, the American-led United Nations Command, or UNC, administers the southern portion of the DMZ as a legacy of the Korean War. And on August 18th of 76, a UNC work party was aiming to trim a tree for visibility when they were attacked by North Korean guards. The American victims were assaulted with the axes meant to be used for trimming. The North side warned them that the tree had been planted by the nation's first leader, Kim Il-sung. Now, 3 days later, American and South Korean forces joined in an operation to cut down the tree, despite concerns it could trigger a much bigger conflict. Incidentally, one of the South soldiers involved in that operation was none other than current President Moon Jae-in. So it may seem fitting that President Moon should be leading efforts to rewind time, in a sense, to an era of much greater freedom inside the JSA, except now without any kind of weapons, not even the pistols they carried decades ago. All this isn't without some controversy, though. Conservatives in South Korea have been upset by the president's ratification of last month's military agreement without parliamentary consent, and Seoul is aware that the US government is very wary of the speed at which the Koreas are increasing cooperation before the North's vow to denuclearize has been realized. Meanwhile, the UNC is concerned about the Inter-Korean Pact to enforce no-fly zones because it could weaken both military intelligence and strike capabilities. Still, the various parties involved here, including the UNC, will verify the withdrawal by this weekend. But if the Koreas can pull this off, not only in the immediate term, but also maintain it, Panmunjom could truly go from a village of truce to peace. From tourists seeing tensions play out in real time, to gaining even more access and learning about war as a thing of the past.